The lake had no name, just like most things that mattered out here. It lay hidden between low sandstone bluffs and a stand of twisted cottonwoods, fed by a narrow spring that ran cold even under the merciless summer sun. Dust ruled the plains beyond it, dust in the lungs, dust in the eyes, dust ground into every crease of a man's life. But here, for a few stolen moments, the world softened. Eliza Hale stepped barefoot onto the muddy bank, water sliding from her skin in quiet rivulets. The lake breathed gently behind her, ripples whispering against the reeds. She had left her dress folded on a rock, her hair unbound, falling dark and heavy down her back. For once, she let herself believe she was unseen. That belief shattered. A sound, leather shifting, the faint clink of a spur. Her breath caught mid-exhale. Eliza froze. Slowly, with the dread of a hunted animal, she turned her head. He sat on horseback at the edge of the trees. The master of Black Hollow Ranch, Jonah Creed. He didn't speak, didn't move. He simply watched. The silence between them thickened, stretching until it felt like it might snap. Dust hung in the sunlight behind him, painting his outline in gold and shadow. His hat brim cut his eyes in half, but she could feel his gaze like a brand against her skin. Eliza snatched her dress, clutching it to her chest. "How long?" she demanded, her voice sharp, though her hands trembled. Jonah shifted in the saddle at last, turning his horse slightly to give her his back, an old frontier courtesy, rare as mercy. "Long enough to know you weren't alone," he said. His voice was low, steady, dangerous in its calm. She dressed quickly, fingers fumbling with buttons. Anger flared hot, but fear burned hotter. Not fear of him, not exactly, but of what his presence meant. Jonah Creed did not wonder. If he was here, something had gone wrong. By the time she tied her hair and stepped forward, he had dismounted. He stood with the reins loose in his hand, tall and broad-shouldered, his coat dust-worn, his expression unreadable. He looked like the land itself, scarred, unyielding, impossible to tame. "You shouldn't come here," Eliza said. "I could say the same," Jonah replied. "This lake's on my spread." She stiffened. "Your land doesn't own the water." "No," he said quietly, "but it owns the trouble that follows it." His eyes flicked past her, to the open plains, the distant line of hills. Eliza followed his gaze, unease creeping into her chest. "Who's coming?" she asked. Jonah didn't answer right away. That was how he always was, measured, deliberate, like every word cost something. People in Black Hollow said he was cold. Others said he was cruel. The truth sat somewhere darker. Jonah Creed chose a silence because he understood what words could do to a man's soul. "Men from the south," he said finally. "They crossed my fence before dawn." Eliza's pulse quickened. "Riders, hunters," Jonah corrected. "And they're not tracking cattle." A row her past tightened around her like a noose. She had come to Black Hollow to disappear. A widow, they said. A woman with nothing left but grief and work-roughened hands. The town accepted lies easier than truths, but hunters had a way of sniffing out what a woman tried to bury. "Why tell me?" she asked. Jonah studied her face, really looked this time, at the tension in her jaw, the way her shoulders squared as if bracing for impact. "Because they asked questions," he said, "about a woman who fits your description." The wind shifted, carrying dust and heat and the faint smell of horse sweat. Eliza swallowed. "I've done nothing wrong," she said. "I didn't say you had." "But you think it." Jonah's jaw tightened. "I think this land punishes secrets." A long beat passed. "You should leave," he said. "Today." She laughed, sharp and bitter. "And go where?" "Every mile out there belongs to someone worse than you." That earned a flicker of something in his eyes. Approval, maybe, or recognition. Before he could answer, a distant sound rolled across the plains. Hooves. Not one rider, many. Jonah moved instantly, grabbing her arm, not roughly, but without hesitation, and pulling her toward the trees. "Do exactly what I say," he murmured. "If they see you here, there'll be no talking them out of it." Eliza hesitated, pride flaring even now. Then she heard the riders again, closer this time, purposeful. She followed. They crouched beneath the cottonwoods, as a line of men crested the ridge. Beyond the lake, dust clouds rose behind them like a storm front. Their hats were pulled low, rifles slung casual and confident. These weren't drifters. "These men," Eliza whispered, "they won't stop." "No," Jonah said. "They won't." "What do they want?" Jonah's gaze stayed locked on the riders. "Justice," he said, "or revenge. Sometimes there's no difference." The riders slowed, scanning the land. One of them pointed toward the water. Eliza's heart slammed against her ribs. "They'll find my tracks," she said. Jonah exhaled slowly. "Then we changed the story." He swung into the saddle, extending a hand to her. "Get on." She stared at him. "If I do this, I'm tied to you." Jonah met her eyes. "You already are." She took his hand. As the horse surged forward, dust swallowing them whole, Eliza realized something far more terrifying than being found. Jonah Creed had chosen to protect her, and men like him never did anything without a cost. The town that watched her breathe and waited for her to break. By the time they reached Black Hollow, the dust had swallowed the sun. Jonah Creed reined his horse just short of the ranch gate, the massive iron brand nailed to the post, catching the last light of evening. Eliza Hale. His name owned the land, but tonight it felt like the land owned him. Every hoofprint behind them told a story he couldn't erase. Every mile they'd crossed tightened the knot around his ribs. Eliza slid down from the saddle without a word. Her silence bothered him more than her fear. Black Hollow. Lay ahead. Low buildings crouched against the wind. False-fronted shops sagging under years of heat and disappointment. Smoke curled from chimneys. Lanterns flickered on, one by one, like watchful eyes opening. They had been seen. Men leaned against posts. Women paused mid-step. Conversations died the moment Jonah and Eliza passed. Black Hollow knew how to smell trouble. It had survived on it. "Go inside," Jonah murmured as they reached the ranch house. "Don't answer the door for anyone but me." Eliza hesitated on the threshold. "You can't keep this from them." "I can try." She studied him then, really studied him. The hard planes of his face, the scars he didn't talk about, the weight of command he carried like a second skin. "You're not doing this for free," she said. "No," Jonah replied. "I'm doing it because once you choose a side out here, there's no stepping back." She nodded once and disappeared inside. Jonah turned as hooves clattered onto the street. The hunters had arrived. 4 men rode in tight formation, their horses lathered, eyes sharp. They wore the look of men who expected obedience, the kind earned through blood or reputation. The lead rider dismounted slowly, boots hitting the dirt with deliberate force. "Jonah Creed," the man said. "Heard you had a woman pass through your land." Jonah didn't move. Lots of women passed through. This one didn't keep moving. The man smiled, but it never reached his eyes. "Name's Calder. We're here on lawful business." "Then take it to the sheriff," Jonah said. Calder's gaze drifted past him, to the ranch house, to the windows. "Oh, we will," he said, "after we collect what's ours." Behind Calder, another man spat into the dirt. "Word is she's a liar," he said. "And liars don't get far." Jonah felt the land shift under his boots. "She works for me," he said. "Which means you go through me." Silence. Then Calder laughed. "You always did have a taste for lost causes." The tension cracked as townsfolk edged closer, drawn by the promise of spectacle. Black Hollow didn't intervene. It watched, it judged. From behind the curtain upstairs, Eliza saw it all. She saw how Jonah stood alone, how no one stepped forward, how the town leaned toward the hunters, hungry for resolution that didn't require courage. She understood then. Black Hollow would sacrifice her gladly if it meant peace. Night fell heavy. By morning, rumors spread faster than wildfire. A woman accused of perjury down south. A witness who vanished before sentencing. A reward whispered in saloons. Men weighed conscience against coin and found conscience wanting. Jonah barred the doors. Eliza paced. "They'll come." "Yes." "When?" Jonah checked the rifle by the wall, not to use, but to remember weight and balance. "Before dawn." She stopped pacing. "Then I won't be here." He turned sharply. "You won't last a mile." "Then I'll die on my feet." Jonah's voice hardened. "You'll die proving their story right." Her eyes flashed. "And if I stay, you..." Burn with me. A truth settled between them, heavy, unavoidable. Jonah stepped closer, lowering his voice. Why are they really hunting you? Eliza's breath trembled. The room felt too small for lies anymore. Because I told the truth, she said, and powerful men don't forgive that. Outside, a gunshot cracked the night sky, close enough to rattle glass. A warning. Jonah reached for the lamp. Pack light. Eliza met his gaze. You're leaving too? Yes. Your land can be rebuilt, he said. Some things can't. As they slipped into the darkness behind the ranch, Black Hollow watched its master abandon the ground he'd bled for. And the hunters smiled, because now the chase was no longer quiet. If this chapter pulled you deeper into the frontier, make sure to like the video, comment what you think will happen next, and subscribe so you don't miss